And I know that you are out there ready to blow the whistle with the Five Guys on Live. We are super excited and ready for another great week of dialogue and discussion. This has to be probably of the third season, one of the most exciting nights of breaking news. Rarely do we have so much breaking news breaking on a Monday. Guys, I'm going to tell you now, we have to talk about some of the things that happened literally within the last 5 hours. We'll add them in throughout the show. But before we get into these hot topics, before we give some of our viewers a chance to log on and be with us, I want to welcome tonight's guest. Sitting in the fifth seat is the one and the only Kobe Fair. He is sleeved and bougie. Kobe, welcome to the Five Guys on Live. It's your first time at this rodeo. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you all?
Good. We good. We happy to have you.
Yeah, I must say I'm blessed and highly favored in the Lord and excited to see what you gentlemen have to say. I logged in early for like a little pre-show setup, and Vince Ashton was listening to an old gospel great. I told the storm, and what people don't know, only my old roommate Kurt Thomas, who probably hasn't watched one episode of the Five Guys on Live. Only Kurt Thomas would know that I listened to that song on repeat so much in the year 2008.
Who's singing?
I know that's not the Mississippi Mass Choir. I don't remember.
It's not. It's Chicago.
Greg O'Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Greg O'Quinn. You're right. But again, I don't care who told the storm. I'm just glad the storm ceased.
I don't care who told the storm.
That's all that I care about. Also joining us tonight, a Five Guy regular, the one and only Brian Bays. Brian, welcome back to the Five Guys on Live. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. I'm chilling. I'm doing my thing. It's like I was just saying before the show. I feel like it's already been a long ass week and it's still Monday. It's still Monday, but we're gonna get it done. And we got a lot to talk about tonight, so I'm happy to be here.
We do have a lot to talk about, and let me tell you, people, you might as well go ahead and anchor your soul, because it's going to be a busy week. We have a lot of things that will be happening. I'll tell you right here and right now, I believe that this week is going to be one of the busiest weeks of the year for many people. I can't tell you why, but I agree with you. I feel like we're halfway through the week, and it's just now beginning. One of the big news stories breaking tonight, gentlemen, is the Herschel Walker abortion scandal. I know I love to bring fresh, hot news off the press to the Five Guys on Live. This story broke in the Daily Beast. The Daily Beast said that they feel very confident in being able to report this. A young lady said that she became pregnant by Herschel Walker in 2019 and that he paid for her to have an abortion at his request. He said that he was not in a place right now where he wanted to be another father, and she agreed, and she asked him for $700 to pay for a $575 abortion. She added in the cost of the travel for getting the abortion, and she has the receipts for the abortion. She has receipts for the checks. She has a get well card from him, all of this information. The Daily Beast is not sharing her name to protect her at this moment, saying that they know how MAGA Republicans may respond to this news. But for those of you watching who don't know, Herschel Walker has literally said multiple times in this campaign against Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock that he doesn't believe in abortion at all. He doesn't even believe in abortion to protect the life of the mother. He also doesn't believe in abortion in the case of rape or incest. Yet it is reported, according to the Daily Beast, that he paid for an abortion as late as 2019. Gentlemen, if this is true, do you think it's going to make any difference to the voters in the state of Georgia?
Not the GOP party. Absolutely not. I think they are going to double down no matter what. They are about winning, no matter the character of the person, which has been proven. So I think Herschel Walker could do anything he wanted to do at this point, just like his high chief, the Orange Man. They can do whatever they want to and still hold the GOP's support. So I don't think, and it's on brand to who he is. I mean, I'm not surprised. I don't know why anybody else would be. I'm sure there's others probably out there, allegedly. But I think he will still have the GOP full of support, and sadly, some black men full support.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you on that. I think the thing or the group of people that we sort of have to look at will be the independents right now. Those independents that may still trend a little to the right, wavering or what have you. I think when we have these breaking stories that are hypocritical to where Herschel Walker stands today. I mean, even for me personally, I think the whole holding his ex-wife at gunpoint, that story should have been enough for everybody to really not want to vote for him. But as I drive down Jonesboro, Georgia, and Clayton County, as I make my ways through the highways and byways in Kennesaw, you still see Herschel Walker posters, out and about or whatever. But with that being said, I do think that if there is a group of people to isolate to see where they waver or not waver, if they're still wavering, it will be the independent group. I think these personal situations probably have more of an effect on that dynamic than MAGA Republicans. I think it's too late for them. They already indebted to the cause.
We're going to go to Brian, and he'll give us the last word on this kind of pre-story or breaking story. We will go into greater detail and kind of get some insight from our IG audience on the after show. Brian, as a new Georgia resident, learning the state, full of eternal optimism, do you think this is going to make any difference? The fact that it's now being reported by the Daily Beast that Herschel Walker had or paid for an abortion as early as 2019 or as late as 2019.
Here's what I'm going to say, baby. It's October. And that is what in politics we call the October surprise, right? Yeah. And that's not, and by the way, that will not be the last one. We're just getting started. Like it just turned. It just turned. So what we need to do is we need to be vigilant about what else is going to come out. Now I'm going to say this. I think the hypocrisy may go against him, may vote, it will prove to be negative for him. I do think so. How it will change his base vote, I don't think it will do that, because we know that Republicans will vote all the time for, the same shit they vote all the time. Fear mongering, racism, that's not going to change. I mean, he can't even string a sentence together. I mean, you talk about as far as he held his ex-wife at gunpoint, and we put that, I mean, that's everywhere. Everybody knows about that at this point. But the fact that he can't even speak, the fact that this man came out and actually had a press conference and said, he's going to embarrass me if I actually debate him on the stage. Like, what else do you need? I mean, the hypocrisy is just one thing. It's just an additional thing. So his base will continue to support him. I think I am going to say that maybe the independents will sway some people.
So, that'll be interesting. I just want to say, number one, happy birthday to Deborah Denard, a faithful viewer of the Five Guys on Live. Deborah, we love you. And again, the beauty of Venus shines on all of her Libra children. That beauty doesn't typically shine on the Scorpios, Tanya, but you definitely got your fair share. And happy early birthday to you. You also will be celebrating a birthday later in the month. So again, happy birthday to all of our October babies. So it'll be interesting. We'll debate this further. I want to say, Brian, that I'm saying, look, in the South, a number of people, are denied education, Brian. You as a Yankee, I don't think the Herschel Walker speech issue is going to matter in Georgia, right? That's really what they think all black men sound like anyway. No. Okay, yeah, so yeah, and if you don't sound like that, you're an Oreo. My God, where are you from, boy? So hopefully it will impact some, but maybe not. The only other thing that we're going to talk about a little bit more in the after show, we're going to talk about Kanye West and his brand new All Lives clothing line that was released today in support of
All Lives, White Lives.
I'm sorry, his brand new White Lives Matter fashion collection worn by him and Candace Owens as they came fresh off the runway. Isn't that what he said? It's fresh off the runway. It came fresh off the runway. And then we're also going to talk about Mehmet Oz and the dogs that he decided to kill. Another breaking news story out of Pennsylvania. Today we found out that Mehmet Oz inflicted severe pain and torture on at least 300 dogs in clinical trials and then killed them all the dogs. And so that was released today. So I guess, Brian, you're right. The October surprises keep coming. But we, maybe we got.
Let me say this. That's going to change some voters, because if white people care about anything, they care about some motherfucking dogs.
We shall see. Okay, it definitely cost Michael Vick his career. He was outside eating a couple of dogs here and there, and as a result, he was removed from the Atlanta Falcons. I literally said yesterday, I was with a friend watching football was on in the background. And I was saying to myself, it's time to let it go. It's time for me to forgive the Atlanta Falcons and support the home team. But then I thought about how they did Michael Vick, and I said, fuck it, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hate them forever. With that being said, though, we didn't only have an October surprise. We also had a September surprise with this. This is Judge Eileen Cannon. She was presiding over and made several significant rulings in the Donald Trump Mar-a-Lago case, where confidential documents had been seized by the former president of the United States of America, taken to his fortress at Mar-a-Lago and held captive there. The the Department of Justice goes in, liberates those documents, begins an investigation. President Trump demands that a special master is assigned to the case, gets his way with a special master, someone appointed from the Reagan era, and that man made several significant rulings, only to have Judge Cannon rule against her own appointed special master in favor of Donald Trump and his legal team. Brian, what do you think about this most recent reversal? Is this fair? Or is there anything that the Department of Justice can even do about it at this point?
Let me say this. So Raymond Dearie is actually the special master, right? That was appointed in this case. By the way, let's be very clear. Let's add the intellectual honesty to the facts. The fact is that the Trump lawyers were the ones who actually put a list of people, and this person was on that list that the Trump lawyers decided to put forward. This person was then appointed by this judge that was, again, the judge was also appointed by Trump, right, when he was president of the United States. Raymond Dearie is a Reagan appointee. Okay, so he's somebody who it doesn't get any more Republican than Reagan, right? So Reagan appoints this man. Conservatives are now starting to come out and say that this judge is crazy, that there's no logical sense, there is no support from a legal standpoint, there's no framework that actually can, buttress the reason why this is even happening, right? So I think when you start seeing all of the negative feedback that you're not even getting from the Democrats, whatever, right? Or people who are considered liberal or whatever. We're talking about people who are considered Republican, who are conservative, that are actually coming out and saying this judge is completely being unfair. And not only that, but that we would be naive and remiss to even ask the question, is there any foul play? I mean, I think it was Andrew Wiseman who was the one who said, we need to start asking this question. What is it that Trump has over this judge? What is it that Trump has over this judge and her husband potentially? That's what he said, not me. I'm not saying it. The information's out there for y'all. So you have conservatives condemning this, and it begs the question, what is going on?
Gentlemen, what do you think? I mean, the title of tonight's episode is Blow the Whistle. Maybe that's something Donald Trump is very skilled at in regards to getting his favors. He blows that whistle. Gentlemen, what do you think?
I see this comment. I don't think he's Teflon. I think that man's day is coming. Definitely. I don't know what he has on this judge, but I think there are some people who making sure they're going to take him down, from the Department of Justice to Miss Lady in New York who ain't playing with him to everybody else. So I think he just needs to watch his back. I think I recently saw something that came out today with CNN had told Trump that those some classified documents were from China or Korea needed to be filed, and they definitely didn't happen. And so a lot of news is definitely coming out about this, and he just needs to watch his back, regardless of what he have on who he has on the payroll.
I hope we do get some more news out of China. That's one other topic that we'll be talking about in the after show. We will certainly be diving into the Coco Chow controversy.
But wait. Now, while you mention that, he put that for the people who don't know who are watching this, he went on his app Truth Social, which, by the way, will be closed soon because the Apple Store and the Google Play Store has actually taken it off, right? So you can't even download it anymore. But Truth Social, and by the way, he don't pay the bills. So Truth Social is his app. He goes ahead and posts there, and he's attacking Mitch McConnell, which is the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, right? And he's saying he called his wife Coco Chow. Now, for y'all who don't know, Mitch McConnell, white ass old man, right, married to this Asian woman named Elaine Chow, and he called her Coco Chow, and also said that Mitch McConnell must have a death wish, all capital letters. So I love all of this. I'm living for this. Like, I want them to attack each other because it's going to divide them up even further. It's going to give us a better chance to win the midterm.
Yeah.
First line, I would name it Coco Chow. So I'm disappointed that they've taken a really good name, Coco Chow. You know, this is my designer hand, Coco Chow.
Not a purse line, Zach. Not a purse line. You know what? I truly feel that Trump has to have some brainiac mastermind genius that just knows everything about the Constitution and everything about laws, because the amount of loopholes this man finds to further create more delays in every single potential indictment, every potential prosecution, like and to give credit to what one of the viewers said earlier, you know, this man is Teflon. I don't think he's Teflon. I just think that his team is extremely smart. And they have literally found, we can side-eye it, but at the same time as we side-eyeing it, he has still not been convicted yet. And we have went in on this man for about 4 to 6 to 8 years at this point, and there is nothing that has happened yet to hold this man accountable, because he finds all the loopholes and it's just becoming a rat race. And for me, it just seems like, I just look at it from a law perspective, because it's like, if I were to go to Kroger and take a Twix candy bar, and if I had a high-power legal team behind me, could I get off? Like, it really makes me look at, do we really know the laws as is? And are there loopholes in every single thing in the Constitution, whatever it looks at? Because there's no way that I can go steal something from my neighbor, steal a trash can, steal a glass, and be convicted, and then Trump can threaten people, commit insurrectionists, all that stuff, and just go willy-nilly free, and ain't nothing happening to this man. Like, something, it really makes me think of just, look at the entire law just at a grander perspective. Like, as airtight and as majestic as we present it to be, I really don't think it is. And I think that the DOJ needs to just finally get some balls and have the audacity, have the gall to, like, hold this man accountable and make him go through and suffer the consequences. I just think they are playing into his game of delay. That's what the former attorney, what's her name? Whatever the article you put. Joyce Vance said that's the name of his game, is delay. He is delaying every single thing, and it's working in his favor.
I don't think Trump is smart at all. I think it's the powers that be. I think Trump, they know he is going to sing like a bird. If he's backed up against the wall and he's finally convicted, he's going to talk. Because he cares about nobody but himself. And I think the powers that be, politicians, the billionaires, fellow billionaires, he knows things. And I think he would talk. And I think they are working on the back end for him, honestly, because he's not smart at all. And I don't think his attorneys or lawyers are smart at all. I think it's the fact that what he knows, and I think the powers that be are going to always work in his favor.
So the system was created for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you talk about, I'm so glad you brought that up for us, Colby. When you talk about not smart at all, a number of people can come to mind, but let me tell you who somebody who comes to mind for me is this gentleman right here. This is former NFL football player Antonio Brown, who is currently right now a free agent, meaning that he is unsigned and he is not playing because he doesn't have a job because of the settling of allegations against him for sexual misconduct with a massage therapist. This past weekend, this man was in Dubai, and he decided he wanted to show it all. The young lady's face is blurred. This is also blurred, but you get the picture, you get an idea, people, of what was shown. And in addition to that, it wasn't just the part that was shown. He showed a little something else that I'm definitely not going to put on the screen. But again, the title of tonight's episode is Blow the Whistle. Perhaps that's what he was searching for. I'm not quite sure. Supposedly, this young victim here, or she's really not that young, but anyway, this victim was offended and upset by the action. Kobe, is there any excuses behavior from Antonio Brown? And if so or no, should he be allowed to return to the NFL?
I think anytime there's any type of accusation, it's never, appropriate, until, things are investigated. But I think it's a case of stupidity. He's dumb. And I think it's a case of, if he does have a sexual issue problem, I think he likes maybe adventurous things. There's so many ways to exercise that, where people will be consenting. And also, I think he has an OJ complex. I'm not black, I'm OJ. Regarding the people he surrounds himself. Because to me, if I was in that predicament looking at the surroundings, I would not be safe to do any of that, because nobody looks like me. And that's just me. So I think it's just all those three working together. And I think absolutely not. I think he's not mentally fit. I think it's proven because he's a football player, right? I think it's proven with those the mental damage. I think that may be an issue that's going on with him. I'm not sure, but I definitely don't think he's fit to go back to playing at all for any team until all of this is settled, until he's found innocent. But by that time, he probably wouldn't even be able to play anyway. So
I think at this point, he's becoming a liability.
Absolutely.
And he's becoming a liability. And I mean, he was in an interview where he said, organizations, they're calling. And he's saying that's his thing. He plays football. And he's also making the claim that these allegations are coming out against him, even though he's no longer in the NFL, because, the NFL right now is going through a certain scandal where they are allowing people to play who are concussed, allegedly, But he's saying there's a bigger conspiracy theory against him. He's saying that this is happening as a distraction because of the fact that the NFL has some legal troubles. I think the biggest thing he has to understand and worry about is that he has troubles himself, and he got to get some type of help, because this shit is ridiculous. I mean, I just think in general, thinking about the victim and being victim centered is one thing, but then it's also like, what the fuck possesses you to do this to another person? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're in a public pool, you don't know who's around, you don't know if it's age appropriate. Like, is it just adults only? Like, there were some pieces of the story that I'm like, you're getting naked in a public pool. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
I did see the video though, and I did see the young lady's facial expression during the event, and it did not seem like she was straight.
I only saw the blurred version, so I don't know.
I seen the full, and she took his shorts.
Right.
So he was naked because she took his shorts off.
Right.
So I think.
And speaking of taking shorts,
oh,
Darius, welcome to the Five Guys on Live.
I don't like that introduction, Zach. I think I'm a little more classy than that. A little more classy. Hi, guys.
I just didn't know what to say. I was oh my God, Darius made it. Continuing on.
I just think I think it's a little, I don't know. Maybe possibly, allegedly, a case of, okay, we knew what he was accused of before. Let me take advantage. Possibly, I don't know. But I know the videos don't lie.
Exactly. And I definitely have to piggyback off of what you just said. Victim, is she? If you look at it on paper, okay, I'll give you that. Is she disappointed? And I think the article said she was fuming. Hell no. You look at that video, that lady was all up on that man. Okay, she came back to that man. She was smiling. She was happy. She was frolicking around like goddamn dragon tails. Okay, that's just what it was. That's just what it was. Right. And so for me, it's like, listen, okay, if you are showing public nudity in a public space, yes, definitely be held accountable of that. Yes, he should have been asked to leave the hotel. But what is sort of spinning itself into, like, she's just this victim. I was so upset. I've been, come against all this type of stuff, like he just like Kobe just said, the receipt is, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like you look the complete opposite as to what the reports are saying. Now for me, just looking at it as a whole, it just not saying that I'm not excusing his behavior, but it just looked like if he was, at a pool kicking it in Cascade with a whole bunch of, folk that know him, black folk, whatever the case is, it would have been okay. That's just what it is. But I think for Antonio, you got to know your surroundings. Everybody is not into that. Everybody doesn't. Even people. Some people don't want to be dunked. Some people don't want that type of pool banter behavior that we may be used to in the summertime with our cousins and our best friends and our friend groups or whatever the case is. So I do think that he needs to be mindful and more cognizant of the areas that he's going into, but how this situation is sort of spinning, I do sort of see where he's coming from. Like, is the NFL just utilizing him as a scapegoat to shift the direction off of that Miami Dolphins quarterback? Because they definitely failed miserably at protecting that young man, considering all the stuff that came out, all the allegations about, how, like, what is it, Zach? Over 90% of the players in the NFL are black, and then 89% of that all suffer concussions, that they don't have, mental liability, like all that stuff, health liability, whatever that article was we talked last season about. Like, I do sort of see where he coming from. No cap.
Yeah, I want to hear from Darius. Darius is making a lot of faces. I want to hear what Darius.
Yeah, I want to hear what Darius is. Oftentimes our voice of reason when it comes to these to recognizing the value of the victims and their claims.
I don't have nothing to say.
Let me give you Darius, just so you can see. I mean,
this is not the angle that I saw, Zach. I saw a different angle, and
unfortunately, I have to admit I was doing my research, and I also saw the other angle as well. So look, this is the thing. I believe, Vince, fully that this lady, because again, she took his underwear from him. I don't know to what extent she was fuming, but it doesn't matter. It was still public nude indecency. No matter what the case may be, this man still violated a social norm, if not a criminal, even if it wasn't criminal behavior. And it's unacceptable for him, especially considering his past history. I do not believe that, I think that the NFL needs to continuously look at these actions and take appropriate and have an appropriate response, but no response any harsher than what they would give to a white player, because the discrepancies of the NFL and how they're treating white players versus black players is becoming very apparent. And that's something that I hope gets more and more attention in the days to come. Zach says set up by Todd.
It's a scheme.
Now, who said that? Who made an accusation that Todd was making a scheme on the Housewives reunion? Who did that?
Aunt Bertha.
Yeah, one of them OLGs.
Come to
Even
us.
the OLGs are
bullshit.
Oh my goodness. I really wish that Antonio Brown had some OLG aunties in his life, because they could possibly help guide him in the right direction. This man needs a lot of guidance that he's not getting.
It's just something about that name.
Antonio Brown. With that being said, and speaking of criminal behavior and incarceration, we really want to take a moment and go to a really sad story out of Alabama. And thank God for the internet. Everybody, this is going to be a little tough to see, so I've cautioned you right here. And if you haven't heard the story, I'm thankful to bring it to your attention, because this is something that requires, I think, more focus from everybody who cares about justice. This is Castillo Vaughn. He is serving a 25-year prison in Montgomery, Alabama, for burglary 1 committed in Mobile, Alabama. He went to jail. That's a picture of him that was taken by his sister, Kristen Vaughn, in June. I think it was July 25th of 2020, right? That was less than 6 months ago. That's the picture on the left. The picture on the right is a picture that was taken by someone in the prison and sent to her secretly, saying, "This is your brother, please send help." He had to have some type of surgery while in prison, and this is his recovery image. They're saying that they're not feeding him, that he's malnourished, he's not getting appropriate health care while he's there. And again, his sister, Kristen Vaughn, put this on Facebook. This was her message, where she's literally saying, about viewer discretion. This is my brother. He's an inmate at Elmore Correctional Facility in Alabama. He is malnourished. He desperately needs help. We don't know what to do. When she started asking a lot of questions, when she started really fighting hard to find out what was happening to her brother, they banned her from visiting. She's no longer allowed to even visit visit the prison to check on him. She has not actually seen an actual image of him in weeks. She doesn't know if he's even still alive. And because of this, there's actually a whole series of prison protests where the inmates are also now refusing to eat and refusing to do their mandatory hard labor. Gentlemen, this story, again, for me, was absolutely heartbreaking. I want to know what you guys think about it and, what you think we can do, if anything.
I think it's horrible. I'm sorry. I think it speaks to how much they do not see us as human beings, because somehow they thought this was not going to be reported. Somehow I don't know how people don't think that this type of information is not going to get out, or that people would care about it. It's heartbreaking, and it further exposes the slavery that the prison is, the modern slavery. Even I was reading something where prisoners make sense, where a lot of judges, a lot of politicians and businessmen owns these prisons, these private prisons, and these judges are sending them, and they're making millions of dollars off of these prisoners, and these prisoners get pennies off the dollar. So it's just a modern day slavery, and this is just proof that it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, Kobe, I think you bring up an interesting point. Like, how do they think that something like this won't get out? And it's probably because for years, things like this didn't get out. And so I think that one thing that we've learned to do in our community is really galvanize the use of social media. And it's powerful the way that this story has been able to really take hold, and all of the people whose attention it's caught. I think that originally the sister had posted a GoFundMe with the goal to raise like $12,000. And right now that GoFundMe is sitting well over $50,000. So I think if nothing else, that the family at least has the attention of people around the world. And I hope that we can stop issues like this from happening, because even prisoners have rights, even people who are in prison and, who are serving time for whatever crime they may have committed, they still deserve to be treated in humane conditions. And this, like Zach said, is very heartbreaking. So I hope that they're able to figure out a way to hold the people in this prison accountable for malpractice, really, for malnourishing this guy. So very hopeful that something will come of it.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of Darius really quickly, I think that it raises the question, not for us, because I believe our answer would be yes to this question, but to the people that, as Kobe said, that own these prisons and so on and so forth. Just because you're a prisoner, does that mean you don't deserve healthcare rights? And because, regardless of whatever crime they commit in X amount of years or months or days, whatever that looks like for them in terms of their sentencing, and they do fall off the radar for, just, I guess, the general public or what have you, do we really take that to the utmost, or do they take that to the utmost and just say, well, we're just completely relinquishing you from any type of basic rights of humanity? I just think this entire thing is inhumane, it's unethical, and it's disgusting. And I was trying to find some statistics and some data just on, in-death rates in terms of just prisoners, so on and so forth. And I really couldn't put my eyes on anything, but there was one thing that I did find in terms of mental health or what have you, specifically for the state of Alabama. I'm just going to quote something. In an ongoing federal lawsuit about mental health care in state prisons, U.S. District Judge Myron Thompson has ordered Alabama to improve living conditions for people placed in these units. It was the solitary what is it?
Solitary confinement.
Yeah, solitary confinement units, and better monitor individuals for signs of mental distress. Also, there were some, I guess, data things that I did find where states have to report because they're monitored, on how you are keeping up with the healthcare with your prisoners. In Alabama, always fell under no data reported, no data reported, no data reported, specifically for that state. There were like one, I think it was Alabama and Delaware. Everybody else reported to the national prison, whoever that is, department, that they are monitoring XYZ. So yeah, I just think that I hate that it's happening, but I'm glad it's definitely getting the shine that it's worthy of. And it also makes me wonder how many of these people are like that before this guy. You get what I'm saying? How many people have had to endure this before this gentleman finally got that social media and the light that he definitely deserves. So yeah.
I wanted to add in, Tanya, you're right. This is many of the prison system in Alabama is being run by for-profit institutions. You're absolutely correct. And many of these are owned by politicians. They have investments in this. They have stakes in this. And this is not the first time the Alabama Department of Corrections has been called out for this type of wrongdoing. They were literally sued by the Department of Justice in 2018 and investigated, but very little has come of that in regards to prison reform and change, because again, a lot of this depends on the elected officials in the state of Alabama. So when you also say, what can we action steps? What can we do about it? I'm sorry to say that all we can really do is raise our voices, share the story. But this falls back on the elected officials of that state, like Governor Kay Ivey. And if they're not going to take action, nothing will be done. It seems as though, to me, in my research, the governor of Alabama is kind of like moving beyond this, pushing this to the side. And the people of Alabama are not in an up. We're not the majority of the citizens of that state. And that is a big part of the problem as well. So even though on a national scale, we are upset, the people of Alabama are the ones who are going to have to take severe action to make this change. And then you also said, can you share this? Yes, I already have a TikTok made. It's in my drafts, ready to go. I was going to hold that TikTok until Thursday, but I'll go ahead and release this tomorrow. Just put it out there so the story can be shared more easily by people, in addition to my story about Herschel Walker and my story about the dog eating mammoth Oz. So again, Brian, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I think on two fronts, with people saying, like, what do we do? I think this is why it's another reminder of many reminders why people should be a civically informed electorate, right? Because why people should understand how this actually changes is by lobbying, organizing, voting, and getting people who have the actual interests of us and people who look like us into the forefront. So I think that's first. I think secondly, I think if we zoom out a second, I think it creates a bigger critique and a bigger conversation about the prison industrial complex. I mean, this is very like and parallel to, again, I'm from Jersey, so tri-state. Rikers Island, right? Rikers Island that is located in East New York. It's an island, has 8 buildings, complex where we house, it's a detention center, right? You are not convicted of anything. You're held there, before you get a sentence, right? Before you get a conviction, before you get a trial. And so these people who are there, and there's so many pictures, so many campaigns that have been tried to, trying to shut down Rikers Island. There's pictures of feces everywhere. You have people who are housed in like these huge rooms and they have to share and sleep on the floor. You have showers that have been converted to jail cells that have been closed. I mean, these people have the worst conditions. And again, these campaigns continue. But again, we have to criticize, dismantle, call out, continue to galvanize and organize against, the prison industrial complex, because people are making money off of the fact that these prisons are open, right? And so when there's money behind any initiative, and I want to say for the people who are within the sound of my voice, go out and watch the documentary 13 by Ava DuVernay, so that you can actually learn certain things about the prison system, the carceral system, the criminal justice system that I don't think a lot of people understand. I think people watch Law and Order and think that that's what it is, but unfortunately, we're in a place where we're woefully unprepared and ill-informed about these situations. And this should come as a surprise to none who have been actually doing the work and paying attention. So that's all I got to say about it, folks. If this angers you, this bothers you, get your ass to the polls, do your thing, and we can make it work. Otherwise, and it's unfortunate based on, because I think, Zach, I think you made a really good point. The majority of people in Alabama are not in an uproar. And I think it's also unfortunate to look at the region and the state that you live, because there are certain priorities based on the majority where those priorities may not be aligned to it. So that's also, a problem as well.
And so I just did a simple Google search to find out how much revenue is generated for the state of Alabama by the Alabama Department of Corrections. And it looks to be, now this could be wrong, and I could be the wrong number, it looks to be over $600 million in one fiscal year. Now that's what I pulled up, the Alabama Department of Corrections annual report for fiscal year 2021. And again, the recidivism rate for the state of Alabama is 31%. And it has a total of 132 jails over 67 counties. Alabama only has 67 counties, but they have 132 jails. I want you to think about that number. And again, we're living in a world where Republican politicians want there to be one drop box per county, one drop box per county. So in Alabama, you will have one voter drop box, 67 in the state, but 132 prisons. There's no way you can make that make sense. So when anyone who talks about one drop box per county, go ahead and then look at the number of jails in that state. You need the minimum number of drop boxes as you have number of jails at the minimum. And when we talk about jails, some people in this world today are wanting to see this young lady put there, Kim Burrell. Kim Burrell. So last week, Vince's auntie, Kim Burrell, because he loves those runs, right?
Hell no, don't do that. No, don't do that.
He's a fan of The Voice. He loves that modulation of the voice that Kim Burrell does. She gives you a hefty run. She's a hefty woman with a hefty run. And so she has had a number of missteps, but the most recent one being on last week's Tamron Hall show. We are not able to see that in Atlanta until 3 p.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning, because it's been preempted by WSB TV's extraordinary extra news hour to sell advertisements. But for those who were able to catch it, Vince, just tell us, what did Kim Burrell do that outraged so many people, and how did Tamron Hall clap back?
Well, first and foremost, I think Kim Burrell, we should have been talked about her, because she been slick at the mouth for about 3, 4, 5 months at this point. But again, she recently went on the Tamron Hall show, because Tamron Hall brought her on to discuss the comments that she made of her most recent viral video when she was in church, talking about basically, fat shaming people, body shaming people. And then we know years back, her comments about the LGBTQIA community, so on and so forth. And Kim basically not only doubled down on her recent comments about, what she said in the church, so on and so forth. She also tried to bring in a person that I definitely enjoy, which is Sister Yolanda Adams. I think we all love Yolanda Adams, and tried to bring her into her mess, talking about, the gospel industry. And Yolanda Adams specifically has shared information that she pretty much agrees with what Kim Burrell has said, but she will never say it in person, whatever the case is. And Tamron was like, hold on, partner. Yolanda is my friend. She is irrelevant to this conversation. Don't be trying to drag other people into your mess, because right now you are in the hot seat, ma'am. So just talking about Kim Burrell, I did not mean anything by that. Lord, forgive me. Just talking about Kim Burrell, just in how she's been behaving, at the top of this year, or even earlier in Sunday's Best. I don't know if you remember that gentleman that went off on her at the audition because she was so mean, such a mean-spirited woman, quote unquote, or whatever. How do you feel about her, and just how she's supposed to be, the light of gospel and bringing people to the Lord and just all that stuff,
All I'm gonna say is this: this battle ain't yours. It's the Lord's.
I think Tamara Hall, she did what the church should be doing to Kim Burrell. Infatuated with her gift, and it's the God complex ultimately, and she's hurt. So
why is she hurt, Kobe? Why is Kim Burrell hurt? What has hurt her so?
Only her and her therapist can figure that out. But in regards to the God complex and being hurt, you're a dangerous person, and having the influence of the church behind you. And I think it's a shame that she continues to hurt people, and people don't stand up to her just because she can run or sing or whatever. But I think ultimately, Sister Hall did what the church should be doing. But they're so scared and so nervous because she comes to their revivals, she sings, she gets them the offering and all that other stuff. But I think it's just a shame. I think she and also I do shame some of the some of us, some of the guys, some of the guys in the community. They continue to stand for her. They continue to they just continue to stand for her, all because she can sing. We got Jasmine Sullivan. We don't need her. So I'm just like, I think at this point, if you continue to support her, that's on you. If she continues to get events, that's on them. At this point, I'm no longer outraged because people are allowing her to do it.
DJ Calloway, I disagree with you. She said, hold on, this is my friend too. And by the way, she also said, I'm from Texas too.
Oh, right.
She let her know, because she tried to say that as in, you know what I'm saying? Nah, this ain't what that is. And listen, let me just say this. I think that's just me and mine. When I'm loyal to somebody, you're not about to come on my show and start belittling somebody who that wasn't even the point of the conversation. Right. Let's not forget, there was Yolanda Adams was not the topic of the conversation. Right. And she also wasn't there to defend herself. So as me being the person who is loyal to my friend, I'm gonna step in and I'm gonna say, no, that's not the conversation. We're gonna clear this up. So I get it.
Yeah, and I know that there was a short clip circulating around social media, but if you had a chance to watch that full episode, it was cringe worthy from start to finish. And I was just sitting there because Tamarin did not take on a stance. Tamarin gave Kim the opportunity to try to explain what it was, what her thought process was and how she was feeling about things. And I honestly think Kim should have just declined the invitation to be on that show. If anything, because it was clear this was an opportunity that she could have vindicated herself in a sense, but instead of doing that, she kind of doubled down. She kind of backpedaled on her apology. And then that's when Tamarin asked, more questions about, Kim saying there were things that people did not know. So Tamarin was saying, well, this is an opportunity for you to clue us in on what's going on so we'll be able to make an informed decision about, whether or not we support kind of what you've done. But Kim wasn't able to do that. And it was cringeworthy. The episode was about the legacies that you'll leave, being someone of such stardom and someone who's been a pillar in the gospel community in that way for years. And the legacy that Kim is choosing to leave is one that, I don't know that she'll be proud of, or that her family.
Her legacy. I mean,
but I don't
know the history of Kim Burrell and gospel music, right? I'm someone who just listens. I don't listen to gospel music really a great deal, even being beyond church, right? So I'll hear the music, I hear the songs, I go to Spotify, listen to my gospel. I don't know who's singing it. I really don't care. I'm someone, all my life, I'm more for me in church, it's about the pastor's word, not about the music. I've never been that's just not my thing. But, I don't know Kim Burrell's history of gospel in the industry, but I knew her name and knew her work, and it's a whole lot of people who I don't know. So that means to me that she had some type of legacy notoriety in this game that she seems to be really hurting significantly.
she's been in the gospel. Well, her family's her father was a preacher. She's from Kojic. She was known in the Kojic. She started in Kojic, and she brought out from there. But in the church world, she's a hero because she's taken the fire for them, But I think ultimately the bottom line is if she's not going to hire decent publicists, she just needs to keep her appearances to church events, because she just needs to do that.
She can't even get it right in the church. She was talking about the people that she was roasting the people.
Let's be clear. Kim's mentality reflects the mentality of a lot of people in the church. So at the end of the day, she gonna let God be true quickly.
Exactly.
That's her all day long. And she's willing to double down and triple down in the name of Jesus. And she might be the one that's on Tamara Hall show, but she's not the only one who represents those views. And so Kim is being true to the people that have exactly.
And in that, even if you go back to that pastor that criticized the Clark sisters for letting Beyonce sample, I think it was Dorinda's song or whatever. Like there is as we found, even dealing with Trump, there's an audience for everybody. And just because, of course, we don't agree with her viewpoints and how she's behaving and the rhetoric that she spews or what have you, there are many churches that are in alignment with her thinking that she will continue to be booked in. So yeah, maybe she will never have that pop culture crossover success like Yolanda Adams or a BB or a CeCe Winans or a Mary, because they keep themselves pretty much, well, I ain't even gonna say Mary, Tina Campbell, but Yolanda, BB, CeCe, them type of people or whatever the case is. But maybe she won't see that type of success. I think she really ruined it after Hidden Figures, when she had that joint venture with Pharrell, and that's when she made those comments about the LGBTQIA community, and then that potential situation that she had to really be one of that gospel guru sort of plummeted. But even in that, she's still getting booked. She's still getting out here in these churches, so I don't think she's going to be severely hurt. But what I will say, I don't know if y'all remember that movie, Fighting Temptations, with Sister Paulina, Beulah Quad, the lady who was hating on Beyonce the whole time. Like, there is always that type of person in everybody's church. That's our aunties. That's our great grandmothers. Like, we know people like that, unfortunately. And I am glad that that type of person is being showcased to know that this exists in our community. So like you said, Tamara Hall checked her like churches should check her, because at the end of the day, it's our position to love people. It's God's position to change people. She trying to change people and criticize them and critique them and all that stuff. That's not your spot. You're not even aligning yourself to what God, you talk about God don't do that. God gonna love you in spite of. So you ain't even aligning yourself to who he is or who the Bible says him to be. So with all that being said, that's my thing about Kim.
None of my aunties or any Kirk at St. Mark United Methodist Church in DeKalb, Mississippi ever sang in the choir. We were ushers and we stood in the back and we helped people out, but we're not singers in this family. So I don't have any auntie or who did it.
You had the white gloves.
Probably did have an aunt who did sing that, and now she is blowing her whistle. It's the one and only Lizzo, who was given the opportunity to play the James Madison flute, and she blew the hot hell out of it. What do we, Vince, tell us, she blew the flute, historic moment. This is a beautiful picture of Lizzo. That sure is a beautiful flute. I would blow that one. I don't blow often. What was the outcry on social media that came forth about the anger from conservatives? I was waiting for my moment. What about this angry outcry from these conservatives? Because Lizzo, a trained classical flautist, was given a chance to blow the whistle. Why did this piss people off so much?
So I'm going to give you a quote from Matt Walsh. All right. He is a right-wing pundit. He said her playing this James Madison flute, 200 years old, or whatever the case is, it is simply desecrating American history just for the sake of it. It basically sends a message that our heritage and history are meaningless and nothing we love or care about has any value. So that is what MAGA Republicans are saying about this moment. And for me, I just think Lizzo just took the opportunity as like, hey, it's an historical moment. Nobody's played this flute in 200 years. I am classically trained to do this. I'm going to make it sound beautiful. Like, why not be a part of history, or what have you? And so I guess the question that I do want to throw out to the guys, like, should this even be looked at from a racial matter? Can she just celebrate the fact that she blew, or should it rather that she just, got the chance to play a historical flute? Like, do we have to take it there? We know they're gonna take it there, but is it that deep?
Name. Do you guys see that Zach Thomas misspelled his name? He put a K when he meant an H. Gentlemen,
If motherfucking Taylor Swift had the iota of talent that Lizzo has, and she played that damn flute in the building, in the Capitol building, there would be silence. These are the same motherfucking people. I don't know if can I curse on here? It's YouTube, right? I can curse. These are the same motherfucking people.
We'll see if we get these violations tomorrow.
Okay.
Lord, don't text me, mama.
These are the same people who don't give a damn about the Capitol building. They ain't give a damn on January 6th. Talking about what did he say, Vince? What was that? What he said? Oh, we have to care about what's so sacred, or whatever. He said.
Yeah, message that our heritage and history are meaningless and that nothing we love or care about has any value.
Which translates to, how dare the descendant of a slave pick up the crystal flute of James Madison? How dare you?
And James Madison owned 200 slaves. Right.
No slave owner, right. So who gives a shit? She should have broke the damn flute. That's what she should have did. So that,
for fuck's sake, it's a flute.
The flute is historical relic. I definitely am glad the flute. I love those type of historical things. So I'm glad this beautiful flute wasn't damaged. I would love
really quickly, this is my thing. And I'm all for just at large, just the preservation of history, yada 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 yada. The fact that the U.S. Library of Congress brought the flute to her concert and she proceeded to twerk while playing the 200-year-old flute, I'm like, okay, well, listen, now if you did break it, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I hope you spray some bleach on it. She got the
Listen, can I say this though? But this is the other part of the story that people don't know. This is the part that seldom is talked about. The fact that these instruments, some of these instruments that have been endowed and are provided to the National Library of Congress and are historical things, there are stipulations that say that you must play them every so often, whatever the stipulation is, so that we can know that it's still fully functional. That is, we're entrusting it to you, and it has to be played at some point. So it's not about whose it was played, it's about who played it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
But she's a professional flautist.
I agree. I'm saying
a national recording professional flautist.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, that should have. It's not that she happens to be a recording artist who happens to play the flute.
Right.
But
she is
the actual flautist. Like she's I don't understand it. I guess I will because I'm not white, but it's certainly because she's Black, because she's a woman, and because she's heavier set. All three of those is what does it, because that's essentially Big Mama playing the woman in the kitchen playing the flute. So I think to them it's that. So I think what's crazy is this is and I don't think they meant anything by it. This is a Black person I was talking to the other day, and Lizzo was playing on the radio, and they said, I don't know if I like Lizzo. Why do you like Lizzo? I said, well, what is there not to like? She's intelligent, she's talented, she don't talk about nobody, she minds her business. So what is there not to like? And you know what they said? They said, you're absolutely right. I can't argue.
Zach, now you're gonna have to go somewhere with these sound effects. I'm
not controlling the sound. Well, you know what, Darius, had you been here at 9 o'clock, you would know that that task was passed off to Brian, who is bringing the sound effects. Brian, give yourself a round of applause. So, with that being said, and while we are applauding, we're also applauding. We're done. We're at the end. Darius, very quickly, what's tonight's Black History Fact? 365.
Yes. Okay, so I found some interesting information. So first published in 1936, the Negro Motorist Green Book was a comprehensive guide for Black travelers about locations across America and eventually overseas that were either Black owned or didn't engage in segregationist practices. So this guide was printed for 30 years and it stopped publication in 1966, 2 years after the Civil Rights Act was passed. So I thought that was an interesting way that people were able to keep up with Black-owned businesses prior to segregation ending. So,
absolutely, we are now headed over to Instagram for the after show, but we're going to talk about finally Sirius XM Radio is suspending Brett Favre's NFL show. They have not yet canceled it. They have not canceled the show, but it's currently on pause. We're going to talk about this interesting TikTok couple called the D&Z family. I looked at their content. I thought a lot of it was a little cringy to me. And I'll tell you why on IG. They rescued the mother, the son's mother from Hurricane Ian, but social media is giving a lot of backlash and said this all looks staged and fake, and I kind of agree. We're going to also talk about the 6 states that said you people are not going to get your student loan forgiveness, so stop. You were complaining about it wasn't enough. You were complaining this, that. Don't worry about it. You ain't going to get it no way. We're also going to talk about Coco Chow in addition to the dead Mammoth Oz dogs and the big Herschel Walker payoff. So everybody, we'll see you shortly. Follow any of us on IG. Join now, and we'll continue the story with our after show. Talk to you soon.